CLEP Introduction to Educational Psychology Practice Questions. Question 1. Which choice helps Owen explain why students start feeling nervous after a certain chime is repeatedly paired with a pop quiz in a tutoring table? Option A, metacognition. Option B, operant conditioning. Option C, classical conditioning. Option D, constructivism. The correct answer is option C. Classical conditioning. This describes classical conditioning because a neutral stimulus becomes linked with an emotional response after repeated pairings. Metacognition is not the best choice because it concerns thinking about one's own thinking, not learned emotional associations. Operant conditioning is different because it focuses on consequences after behavior rather than associations before a response. Constructivism does not fit because it explains active meaning making, not a reflexive conditioned response. Question 2. How can Owen classify a classroom moment where a teacher adds praise after a student participates and participation increases? Option A, punishment. Option B, negative reinforcement. Option C, positive reinforcement. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option C. Positive reinforcement. This describes positive reinforcement because a desirable consequence is added after a behavior, making that behavior more likely. Punishment is not the best choice because it aims to reduce behavior rather than increase it. Negative reinforcement is different because it removes an unpleasant condition rather than adding a reward. Extinction does not fit because it weakens behavior by withholding reinforcement. Question 3. Suppose Owen observes that students complete homework early to avoid a weekly reminder call home. Which concept is shown? Option A, negative reinforcement. Option B, response cost. Option C, classical conditioning. Option D, positive reinforcement. The correct answer is option A. Negative reinforcement. This describes negative reinforcement because a behavior increases because it helps the learner avoid or remove something unpleasant. Response cost is not the best choice because it removes a privilege after misbehavior. Classical conditioning is different because it involves stimulus association rather than consequences shaping behavior. Positive reinforcement does not fit because it adds a pleasant consequence rather than removing an unpleasant one. Question 4. While reviewing, Owen sees a student receives an extra cleanup task after throwing paper and the behavior decreases. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, negative reinforcement. Option B, positive reinforcement. Option C, shaping. Option D, positive punishment. The correct answer is option D. Positive punishment. This describes positive punishment because an unpleasant consequence is added to reduce an unwanted behavior. Negative reinforcement is not the best choice because it increases behavior by removing something unpleasant. Positive reinforcement is different because it adds something desirable to increase behavior. Shaping does not fit because it builds behavior through small reinforced steps. Question 5. One interesting clue says a teacher rewards each closer attempt as a shy learner gradually speaks louder in class. Which educational psychology term fits for Owen? Option A, extinction. Option B, shaping. Option C, reciprocal teaching. Option D, fixed ratio schedule. The correct answer is option B. Shaping. This describes shaping because successive approximations are reinforced until the desired behavior develops. Extinction is not the best choice because it reduces behavior by removing reinforcement. Reciprocal teaching is different because it uses student-led reading strategies rather than behavior building. Fixed ratio schedule does not fit because it reinforces after a set number of responses, not gradual progress. Question 6. From this example, where a teacher stops laughing at off-task jokes and the jokes slowly fade away, which answer should Owen select? Option A, extinction. Option B, spaced practice. Option C, punishment. Option D, modeling. The correct answer is option A. Extinction. This describes extinction because a previously reinforced behavior decreases when reinforcement is no longer provided. Spaced practice is not the best choice because it improves memory through distributed study sessions. Punishment is different because it adds or removes a consequence to reduce behavior more directly. Modeling does not fit because it involves learning by watching others. Question 7. Students in an after-school class discuss why a learner keeps answering review questions because bonus points appear after unpredictable numbers of correct responses. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, variable interval schedule. Option B, fixed interval schedule. Option C, variable ratio schedule. Option D, fixed ratio schedule. The correct answer is option C, variable ratio schedule. This describes variable ratio schedule because reinforcement occurs after an unpredictable number of responses, which often produces steady responding. Variable interval schedule is not the best choice because it rewards after changing time intervals rather than response counts. Fixed interval schedule is different because it rewards the first response after a set amount of time. Fixed ratio schedule does not fit because it rewards after a predictable number of responses. Question 8. Teachers in a student coaching session wonder why students work hardest right before a quiz that happens every Friday. Which principle applies? Option A, variable ratio schedule. Option B, fixed interval schedule. Option C, fixed ratio schedule. Option D, token economy. The correct answer is option B, fixed interval schedule. This describes fixed interval schedule because reinforcement is available after a predictable amount of time has passed. Variable ratio schedule is not the best choice because it depends on unpredictable response counts. Fixed ratio schedule is different because it depends on a set number of responses. Token economy does not fit because it uses symbolic rewards exchanged for privileges. Question 9. Can Owen treat a child copies a classmate's polite hand-raising after seeing the classmate praised as evidence of which concept? Option A, classical conditioning. Option B, insight learning. Option C, observational learning. Option D, trial and error learning. The correct answer is option C, observational learning. This describes observational learning because the learner changes behavior after watching another person and the consequences that follow. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it links stimuli rather than modeling behavior. Insight learning is different because it involves a sudden solution, not imitation. Trial and error learning does not fit because it depends on personal attempts and feedback rather than watching a model. Question 10. If Owen must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a student with strong belief in personal ability chooses harder practice problems? Option A, external locus of control. Option B, self-concept. Option C, self-efficacy. Option D, intrinsic motivation. The correct answer is option C, self-efficacy. This describes self-efficacy because the learner's belief in their capability affects effort, persistence, and challenge choice. External locus of control is not the best choice because it attributes outcomes to outside forces rather than personal capability. Self-concept is different because it is a broader view of oneself, not task-specific confidence. Intrinsic motivation does not fit because it refers to interest or enjoyment, not belief in ability. Question 11. Rather than guessing, Owen should connect a learner's confidence, classroom behavior, and teacher response all influence one another with which concept? Option A, norm reference testing. Option B, classical conditioning. Option C, reciprocal determinism. Option D, maturation. The correct answer is option C, reciprocal determinism. This describes reciprocal determinism because personal factors, behavior, and environment interact in a two-way pattern. Norm reference testing is not the best choice because it compares scores to other test takers. Classical conditioning is different because it focuses on learned stimulus associations. Maturation does not fit because it emphasizes biological growth rather than social interaction cycles. Question 12. Curiosity rises when Owen reads that a teacher gives sentence starters at first and slowly removes them as students improve. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, standardization. Option B, extinction. Option C, summative assessment. Option D, scaffolding. The correct answer is option D. Scaffolding. This describes scaffolding because temporary support is provided and then withdrawn as learners become more independent. Standardization is not the best choice because it keeps testing procedures the same for everyone. Extinction is different because it removes reinforcement to reduce behavior. Summative assessment does not fit because it evaluates learning after instruction is complete. Question 13. A CLEP-style scenario says a learner can solve a problem with hints but not yet alone. Which answer best captures it for Owen? Option A, formal operational stage. Option B, mastery learning. Option C, zone of proximal development. Option D, reliability. The correct answer is option C. Zone of proximal development. This describes zone of proximal development because the task sits between independent ability and what the learner can do with support. Formal operational stage is not the best choice because it describes abstract reasoning, not support level. Mastery learning is different because it requires reaching a performance standard before moving on. Reliability does not fit because it concerns score consistency, not learning support. Question 14. Inside a morning lesson, Owen studies why a child calls a zebra a horse because it fits an existing animal category. Which concept fits? Option A, encoding. Option B, accommodation. Option C, assimilation. Option D, conservation. The correct answer is option C. Assimilation. This describes assimilation because new information is interpreted using an existing mental schema. Encoding is not the best choice because it is getting information into memory. Accommodation is different because it changes the schema to fit new information. Conservation does not fit because it is understanding that quantity can stay the same despite appearance changes. Question 15. Looking at the clue that a child changes the animal category after learning zebras are not horses, which idea should Owen remember? Option A, assimilation. Option B, class inclusion. Option C, accommodation. Option D, rehearsal. The correct answer is option C. Accommodation. This describes accommodation because an existing schema is revised when new information does not fit. Assimilation is not the best choice because it would force new information into an old schema. Class inclusion is different because it involves understanding category relationships. Rehearsal does not fit because it is repeating information to maintain it in memory. Question 16. Owen sees that a child solves conservation tasks but struggles with purely hypothetical logic during a tutoring table. Which concept best explains it? Option A, concrete operational thinking. Option B, formal operational thinking. Option C, sensoromotor thinking. Option D, pre-operational thinking. The correct answer is option A. Concrete operational thinking. This describes concrete operational thinking because children can reason logically about concrete objects but not fully abstract possibilities. Formal operational thinking is not the best choice because it includes abstract and hypothetical reasoning. Sensoromotor thinking is different because it centers on infant sensory and motor exploration. Pre-operational thinking does not fit because it often lacks conservation and logical reversibility. Question 17. When Owen notices that a teen reasons through a hypothetical justice problem without needing physical examples in a classroom discussion, which idea is being tested? Option A, concrete operational thinking. Option B, formal operational thinking. Option C, object permanence. Option D, pre-operational thinking. The correct answer is option B. Formal operational thinking. This describes formal operational thinking because abstract and hypothetical reasoning are key features of this stage. Concrete operational thinking is not the best choice because it works best with tangible examples. Object permanence is different because it is an infant understanding that objects still exist when unseen. Pre-operational thinking does not fit because it is marked by symbolic thought but limited logic. Question 18. During a quick quiz review, Owen studies a case where an infant searches for a hidden toy instead of acting as if it disappeared. Which term fits best? Option A, object permanence. Option B, centration. Option C, egocentrism. Option D, conservation. The correct answer is option A. Object permanence. This describes object permanence because the child understands that objects continue to exist even when out of sight. Centration is not the best choice because it means focusing on one feature while ignoring others. Egocentrism is different because it involves difficulty taking another person's viewpoint. Conservation does not fit because it involves understanding quantity despite appearance changes. Question 19. In a teacher training scenario, Owen asks why an elementary student gains pride from mastering reading and classroom skills. Which answer names the idea? Option A, generativity versus stagnation. Option B, trust versus mistrust. Option C, industry versus inferiority. Option D, identity versus role confusion. The correct answer is option C. Industry versus inferiority. This describes industry versus inferiority because school-age children build competence through successful work and feedback. Generativity versus stagnation is not the best choice because it focuses on adult contribution to others. Trust versus mistrust is different because it centers on infant caregiver reliability. Identity versus role confusion does not fit because it is mainly an adolescent search for personal identity. Question 20. After reading that a teenager explores values, careers, and beliefs to answer who they are, how should Owen label the concept? Option A, industry versus inferiority. Option B, identity versus role confusion. Option C, autonomy versus shame. Option D, intimacy versus isolation. The correct answer is option B. Identity versus role confusion. This describes identity versus role confusion because adolescents work toward a stable sense of self and direction. Industry versus inferiority is not the best choice because it focuses on school-age competence. Autonomy versus shame is different because it describes toddlers building independence. Intimacy versus isolation does not fit because it usually involves young adult relationships. Question 21. For a short exam review, Owen connects a student says cheating is wrong because rules and community expectations matter with which principle? Option A, post-conventional morality. Option B, moral realism. Option C, conventional morality. Option D, pre-conventional morality. The correct answer is option C. Conventional morality. This describes conventional morality because moral reasoning is based on social approval, rules, and maintaining order. Post-conventional morality is not the best choice because it uses broad ethical principles beyond rules. Moral realism is different because it treats rules as fixed and unchangeable. Pre-conventional morality does not fit because it focuses on rewards and punishments. Question 22. Could a case where a child avoids lying mainly to escape punishment or earn a reward be an example of which concept for Owen? Option A, pre-conventional morality. Option B, post-conventional morality. Option C, identity achievement. Option D, conventional morality. The correct answer is option A. Pre-conventional morality. This describes pre-conventional morality because moral decisions are driven by personal consequences such as punishment or reward. Post-conventional morality is not the best choice because it reasons from abstract principles and rights. Identity achievement is different because it describes commitment after exploration, not moral reasoning. Conventional morality does not fit because it emphasizes rules and approval from society. Question 23. Why would Owen link a student argues that a rule should be challenged when it violates basic human rights to one major educational psychology idea? Option A, learned helplessness. Option B, conventional morality. Option C, pre-conventional morality. Option D, post-conventional morality. The correct answer is option D. Post-conventional morality. This describes post-conventional morality because moral reasoning is guided by universal principles rather than simple rule following. Learned helplessness is not the best choice because it concerns giving up after repeated failure. Conventional morality is different because it generally supports rules and social order. Pre-conventional morality does not fit because it focuses on personal gain or punishment. Question 24. A practice item tells Owen that a teacher plans choices that include music, movement, language, and spatial design. Which concept is most likely? Option A, working memory. Option B, norm reference testing. Option C, multiple intelligences. Option D, G factor. The correct answer is option C. Multiple intelligences. This describes multiple intelligences because the approach treats ability as varied across different domains of strength. Working memory is not the best choice because it is a limited mental workspace. Norm reference testing is different because it compares learners to a group. G factor does not fit because it emphasizes a general intelligence factor. Question 25. Before answering, Owen identifies that an assignment asks students to solve problems, create products, and apply ideas in daily life. Which term should be chosen? Option A, criterion reference testing. Option B, multiple intelligences. Option C, fluid intelligence. Option D, triarchic intelligence. The correct answer is option D. Triarchic intelligence. This describes triarchic intelligence because Sternberg's model highlights analytical, creative, and practical intelligence. Criterion reference testing is not the best choice because it measures performance against standards. Multiple intelligences is different because it lists broader domains such as musical or bodily kinesthetic abilities. Fluid intelligence does not fit because it refers to novel problem-solving ability. Question 26. Which choice helps Owen explain why a learner studies child development because the topic feels genuinely fascinating in a bright review class? Option A, negative reinforcement. Option B, intrinsic motivation. Option C, extrinsic motivation. Option D, performance goal. The correct answer is option B. Intrinsic motivation. This describes intrinsic motivation because the behavior is driven by interest, curiosity, or enjoyment of the activity itself. Negative reinforcement is not the best choice because it increases behavior by removing something unpleasant. Extrinsic motivation is different because it depends on outside rewards or pressures. Performance goal does not fit because it focuses on looking competent compared with others. Question 27. How can Owen classify a classroom moment where a student completes extra practice mainly to earn a gift card? Option A, self-regulation. Option B, intrinsic motivation. Option C, extrinsic motivation. Option D, mastery goal. The correct answer is option C. Extrinsic motivation. This describes extrinsic motivation because the behavior is driven by an outside reward rather than the activity itself. Self-regulation is not the best choice because it involves planning and monitoring one's learning. Intrinsic motivation is different because it comes from interest or enjoyment. Mastery goal does not fit because it emphasizes learning and improvement. Question 28. Suppose Owen observes that a learner chooses difficult questions to improve understanding even if mistakes happen. Which concept is shown? Option A, mastery goal. Option B, avoidance goal. Option C, fixed mindset. Option D, performance goal. The correct answer is option A. Mastery goal. This describes mastery goal because the focus is on growth, learning, and skill development. Avoidance goal is not the best choice because it focuses on avoiding failure or embarrassment. Fixed mindset is different because it treats ability as unchangeable. Performance goal does not fit because it focuses on proving ability or outperforming others. Question 29. While reviewing, Owen sees a student studies mainly to score higher than classmates and appear smart. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, mastery goal. Option B, performance goal. Option C, intrinsic motivation. Option D, metacognition. The correct answer is option B, performance goal. This describes performance goal because the learner is focused on demonstrating ability relative to others. Mastery goal is not the best choice because it centers on improvement and understanding. Intrinsic motivation is different because it centers on enjoyment or curiosity. Metacognition does not fit because it involves awareness and control of thinking. Question 30. One interesting clue says a learner explains a failed test by blaming effort, task difficulty, luck, or ability. Which educational psychology term fits for Owen? Option A, attribution theory. Option B, constructivism. Option C, classroom ecology. Option D, information processing theory. The correct answer is option A, attribution theory. This describes attribution theory because it examines how people explain causes of success and failure. Constructivism is not the best choice because it emphasizes building meaning from experience. Classroom ecology is different because it focuses on classroom environment patterns. Information processing theory does not fit because it explains how information moves through memory systems. Question 31. From this example, where a student stops trying because repeated failures made success feel impossible, which answer should Owen select? Option A, growth mindset. Option B, positive transfer. Option C, self-efficacy. Option D, learned helplessness. The correct answer is option D, learned helplessness. This describes learned helplessness because repeated uncontrollable failure can reduce motivation and effort. Growth mindset is not the best choice because it supports belief that ability can improve. Positive transfer is different because it happens when prior learning helps new learning. Self-efficacy does not fit because it refers to belief in capability, not resignation. Question 32. Students in a classroom discussion discuss why a student treats mistakes as evidence that a skill can improve with strategy and effort. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, external attribution. Option B, entity theory. Option C, fixed mindset. Option D, growth mindset. The correct answer is option D, growth mindset. This describes growth mindset because ability is viewed as developable through effort, feedback, and better strategies. External attribution is not the best choice because it places causes outside the learner. Entity theory is different because it is another way to describe fixed views of ability. Fixed mindset does not fit because it treats ability as stable and hard to change. Question 33. Teachers in a quick quiz review wonder why a hungry, unsafe student struggles to focus on a challenging lesson. Which principle applies? Option A, Bloom taxonomy. Option B, Maslow hierarchy of needs. Option C, classical conditioning. Option D, Kohlberg theory. The correct answer is option B, Maslow hierarchy of needs. This describes Maslow hierarchy of needs because basic physiological and safety needs can affect readiness for higher level learning. Bloom taxonomy is not the best choice because it classifies cognitive learning objectives. Classical conditioning is different because it explains learned stimulus response associations. Kohlberg theory does not fit because it describes moral reasoning development. Question 34. Can Owen treat a student loses track while solving a long mental math problem with many steps as evidence of which concept? Option A, procedural memory. Option B, working memory. Option C, long-term memory. Option D, sensory memory. The correct answer is option B, Working memory. This describes working memory because working memory is the limited mental space used to hold and process information temporarily. Procedural memory is not the best choice because it stores skills and habits. Long-term memory is different because it stores information over extended periods. Sensory memory does not fit because it briefly holds raw sensory input. Question 35. If Owen must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a learner recalls a teaching theory studied weeks earlier? Option A, long-term memory. Option B, sensory memory. Option C, selective attention. Option D, working memory. The correct answer is option A, long-term memory. This describes long-term memory because information retained over time is stored in long-term memory. Sensory memory is not the best choice because it lasts only briefly after stimulation. Selective attention is different because it filters what receives mental focus. Working memory does not fit because it is temporary and limited during active thinking. Question 36. Rather than guessing, Owen should connect a student turns a new vocabulary term into a meaningful example to remember it with which concept? Option A, encoding. Option B, retrieval. Option C, validity. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option A, encoding. This describes encoding because encoding is the process of getting information into memory in a usable form. Retrieval is not the best choice because it involves pulling stored information back out. Validity is different because it concerns whether a test measures what it should. Extinction does not fit because it weakens a learned behavior. Question 37. Curiosity rises when Owen reads that a learner closes the book and answers questions from memory to strengthen recall. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, summative assessment. Option B, massed practice. Option C, retrieval practice. Option D, centration. The correct answer is option C, retrieval practice. This describes retrieval practice because actively recalling information improves later memory more than simply rereading. Summative assessment is not the best choice because it evaluates learning at the end of instruction. Massed practice is different because it compresses study into one long session. Centration does not fit because it means focusing on one feature of a situation. Question 38. A CLEP style scenario says a student studies the same concepts in short sessions across several days. Which answer best captures it for Owen? Option A, shaping. Option B, norming. Option C, massed practice. Option D, spaced practice. The correct answer is option D, spaced practice. This describes spaced practice because learning is distributed over time, which usually supports stronger retention. Shaping is not the best choice because it reinforces gradual behavior changes. Norming is different because it creates comparison data for a test. Massed practice does not fit because it packs study into one concentrated period. Question 39. Inside a mini lecture, Owen studies why a learner links a new theory to personal classroom experiences. Which concept fits? Option A, elaboration. Option B, rote rehearsal. Option C, reliability. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option A, elaboration. This describes elaboration because new information is made more meaningful by connecting it to existing knowledge. Rote rehearsal is not the best choice because it repeats information without adding meaning. Reliability is different because it refers to consistency of measurement. Extinction does not fit because it removes reinforcement to reduce behavior. Question 40. Looking at the clue that a student groups a long list of theorists into behaviorist, cognitive, and social categories, which idea should Owen remember? Option A, chunking. Option B, overlearning. Option C, response cost. Option D, accommodation. The correct answer is option A, chunking. This describes chunking because information is organized into meaningful units to reduce memory load. Overlearning is not the best choice because it continues practice after initial mastery. Response cost is different because it removes a privilege to reduce behavior. Accommodation does not fit because it changes a schema to fit new information. Question 41. Owen sees that a student checks which topics are weak and adjusts the study plan during a bright review class. Which concept best explains it? Option A, classical conditioning. Option B, automaticity. Option C, extrinsic motivation. Option D, metacognition. The correct answer is option D. Metacognition. This describes metacognition because the learner monitors and controls their own thinking and learning strategies. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it involves learned associations. Automaticity is different because it means a skill requires little conscious effort. Extrinsic motivation does not fit because it depends on external rewards. Question 42. When Owen notices that knowledge from a statistics lesson helps a student understand test reliability in a quiet study group, which idea is being tested? Option A, extinction. Option B, transfer of learning. Option C, cognitive dissonance. Option D, negative punishment. The correct answer is option B. Transfer of learning. This describes transfer of learning because previous learning influences performance in a new but related situation. Extinction is not the best choice because it reduces behavior when reinforcement stops. Cognitive dissonance is different because it involves discomfort from conflicting beliefs. Negative punishment does not fit because it removes something desirable to reduce behavior. Question 43. During an online prep session, Owen studies a case where a teacher gives a big picture concept map before a complex lesson begins. Which term fits best? Option A, advance organizer. Option B, exit ticket. Option C, random assignment. Option D, token economy. The correct answer is option A. Advance organizer. This describes advance organizer because a preview structure helps learners connect new information to prior knowledge. Exit ticket is not the best choice because it checks understanding at the end of a lesson. Random assignment is different because it places participants into groups by chance. Token economy does not fit because it uses symbolic rewards. Question 44. In a morning lesson, Owen asks why a learner uses an existing mental framework about classrooms to understand a new teaching method. Which answer names the idea? Option A, schema. Option B, rubric. Option C, percentile rank. Option D, reinforcer. The correct answer is option A. Schema. This describes schema because a schema is an organized knowledge structure used to interpret information. Rubric is not the best choice because it is a scoring guide. Percentile rank is different because it shows relative standing in a group. Reinforcer does not fit because it is a consequence that increases behavior. Question 45. After reading that too many visuals, terms, and steps overwhelm a learner during a first lesson, how should Owen label the concept? Option A, egocentrism. Option B, cognitive load. Option C, reliability. Option D, intrinsic motivation. The correct answer is option B. Cognitive load. This describes cognitive load because working memory can become overloaded when too much information must be processed at once. Egocentrism is not the best choice because it means difficulty taking another viewpoint. Reliability is different because it concerns consistency of scores. Intrinsic motivation does not fit because it concerns interest and enjoyment. Question 46. For a short exam review, Owen connects students build their own understanding through discussion, examples, and problem solving with which principle? Option A, constructivism. Option B, behaviorism. Option C, standardization. Option D, maturation. The correct answer is option A. Constructivism. This describes constructivism because learners actively construct meaning rather than simply receive information. Behaviorism is not the best choice because it emphasizes observable behavior and consequences. Standardization is different because it keeps procedures uniform. Maturation does not fit because it emphasizes biological growth. Question 47. Could a case where students investigate a question, gather evidence, and develop an explanation be an example of which concept for Owen? Option A, fixed ratio reinforcement. Option B, direct instruction. Option C, norm-referenced assessment. Option D, inquiry-based learning. The correct answer is option D. Inquiry-based learning. This describes inquiry-based learning because learning begins with questions and exploration rather than only direct telling. Fixed ratio reinforcement is not the best choice because it rewards after a set number of responses. Direct instruction is different because it uses clear teacher-led explanation and guided practice. Norm-referenced assessment does not fit because it compares students to one another. Question 48. Why would Owen link a teacher models a skill, guides practice, checks understanding, and gives feedback to one major educational psychology idea? Option A, discovery learning. Option B, peer tutoring. Option C, direct instruction. Option D, portfolio assessment. The correct answer is option C. Direct instruction. This describes direct instruction because the method uses explicit teaching steps and structured practice. Discovery learning is not the best choice because it expects students to uncover ideas with less direct guidance. Peer tutoring is different because it uses students helping students. Portfolio assessment does not fit because it collects work over time. Question 49. A practice item tells Owen that students work in small groups with shared goals and individual accountability. Which concept is most likely? Option A, cooperative learning. Option B, independent study. Option C, competitive learning. Option D, lecture method. The correct answer is option A. Cooperative learning. This describes cooperative learning because learners collaborate while each member remains responsible for contributing. Independent study is not the best choice because it relies on solo learning. Competitive learning is different because it ranks students against one another. Lecture method does not fit because it centers on teacher presentation. Question 50. Before answering, Owen identifies that a teacher adjusts tasks, materials, and support based on learner readiness. Which term should be chosen? Option A, differentiated instruction. Option B, summative assessment. Option C, standardized instruction. Option D, random sampling. The correct answer is option A. Differentiated instruction. This describes differentiated instruction because instruction is adapted to different needs while keeping meaningful learning goals. Summative assessment is not the best choice because it evaluates after instruction. Standardized instruction is different because it delivers the same approach to all students. Random sampling does not fit because it selects participants for research. Question 51. Which choice helps Owen explain why a lesson offers text, audio, visuals, and different ways to show understanding from the start in a learning lab? Option A, mastery grading. Option B, universal design for learning. Option C, tracking. Option D, accommodation only. The correct answer is option B. Universal design for learning. This describes universal design for learning because UDL plans flexible access and expression options before barriers appear. Mastery grading is not the best choice because it focuses on reaching standards before moving ahead. Tracking is different because it separates students into groups by perceived ability. Accommodation only does not fit because it changes access for an individual after a need is identified. Question 52. How can Owen classify a classroom moment where a teacher uses a quick exit question to adjust tomorrow's lesson? Option A, formative assessment. Option B, placement test. Option C, norm-referenced assessment. Option D, summative assessment. The correct answer is option A. Formative assessment. This describes formative assessment because the assessment is used during learning to guide instruction and feedback. Placement test is not the best choice because it sorts students before instruction begins. Norm-referenced assessment is different because it compares performance to other learners. Summative assessment does not fit because it judges learning after instruction is complete. Question 53. Suppose Owen observes that a final exam measures what students learned after the unit ends. Which concept is shown? Option A, anecdotal record. Option B, diagnostic assessment. Option C, summative assessment. Option D, formative assessment. The correct answer is option C, summative assessment. This describes summative assessment because the assessment evaluates achievement at the end of a learning period. Anecdotal record is not the best choice because it is a brief observational note. Diagnostic assessment is different because it identifies starting strengths and needs. Formative assessment does not fit because it guides instruction during learning. Question 54. While reviewing, Owen sees a student's score is judged against a fixed standard of mastery. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, informal observation. Option B, ipsative assessment. Option C, norm-referenced assessment. Option D, criterion-referenced assessment. The correct answer is option D, criterion-referenced assessment. This describes criterion-referenced assessment because performance is compared with defined criteria rather than other students. Informal observation is not the best choice because it is not necessarily tied to a fixed standard. Ipsative assessment is different because it compares a student to their own past performance. Norm-referenced assessment does not fit because it compares students to a reference group. Question 55. One interesting clue says a score report shows how a student performed compared with a national sample. Which educational psychology term fits for Owen? Option A, norm-referenced assessment. Option B, authentic assessment. Option C, criterion-referenced assessment. Option D, formative assessment. The correct answer is option A, norm-referenced assessment. This describes norm-referenced assessment because the score is interpreted relative to other test takers. Authentic assessment is not the best choice because it uses real-world tasks. Criterion-referenced assessment is different because it compares performance to a standard. Formative assessment does not fit because it is used during learning for improvement. Question 56. From this example, where a test gives similar results when the same skill is measured repeatedly, which answer should Owen select? Option A, reliability. Option B, percentile rank. Option C, bias. Option D, validity. The correct answer is option A, reliability. This describes reliability because reliability means scores are consistent across time, items, or raters. Percentile rank is not the best choice because it reports relative standing. Bias is different because it concerns unfair advantage or disadvantage. Validity does not fit because it asks whether the test measures the intended construct. Question 57. Students in a quiet study group discuss why a math test actually measures math reasoning instead of reading speed. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, validity. Option B, standard error. Option C, reliability. Option D, inter-rater agreement. The correct answer is option A, validity. This describes validity because validity concerns whether an assessment measures what it claims to measure. Standard error is not the best choice because it estimates score uncertainty. Reliability is different because it concerns consistency, not meaning. Inter-rater agreement does not fit because it is one form of consistency between scorers. Question 58. Teachers in an online prep session wonder why all examines receive the same directions, timing, and scoring rules. Which principle applies? Option A, authentic assessment. Option B, standardized test. Option C, informal assessment. Option D, portfolio assessment. The correct answer is option B, standardized test. This describes standardized test because standardization keeps testing conditions uniform so scores can be interpreted fairly. Authentic assessment is not the best choice because it asks students to perform realistic tasks. Informal assessment is different because it may be flexible and teacher-made. Portfolio assessment does not fit because it collects multiple pieces of work over time. Question 59. Can Owen treat students design a real classroom plan instead of only selecting answers on a test as evidence of which concept? Option A, forced choice test. Option B, norm referenced assessment. Option C, standardized assessment. Option D, authentic assessment. The correct answer is option D. Authentic assessment. This describes authentic assessment because students demonstrate learning through realistic tasks and products. Forced choice test is not the best choice because it limits responses to provided options. Norm-referenced assessment is different because it compares performance to a group. Standardized assessment does not fit because it uses uniform procedures and scoring. Question 60. If Owen must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when students receive a scoring guide describing levels for evidence, clarity, and accuracy? Option A, syllabus. Option B, checklist. Option C, rubric. Option D, norm table. The correct answer is option C. Rubric. This describes rubric because a rubric lists criteria and performance levels for judging work. Syllabus is not the best choice because it outlines course policies and topics. Checklist is different because it often marks whether elements are present without quality levels. Norm table does not fit because it helps interpret scores against a sample. Question 61. Rather than guessing, Owen should connect a teacher moves students from remembering facts to evaluating arguments and creating projects with which concept? Option A, Bloom taxonomy. Option B, Erikson stages. Option C, Kohlberg stages. Option D, Maslow hierarchy. The correct answer is option A. Bloom taxonomy. This describes Bloom taxonomy because the taxonomy organizes cognitive tasks from lower to higher levels of thinking. Erikson stages is not the best choice because it describes psychosocial development. Kohlberg stages is different because it describes moral reasoning. Maslow hierarchy does not fit because it organizes human needs. Question 62. Curiosity rises when Owen reads that a student with a qualifying disability has a legal plan with goals and services. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, individualized education program. Option B, norming report. Option C, rubric. Option D, lesson plan. The correct answer is option A. Individualized education program. This describes individualized education program because an IEP documents specialized instruction, supports, goals, and services for eligible students. Norming report is not the best choice because it summarizes comparison data. Rubric is different because it scores performance. Lesson plan does not fit because it guides a teacher's daily instruction but is not a special education legal document. Question 63. A CLEP-style scenario says a student with a disability learns with non-disabled peers as much as appropriate. Which answer best captures it for Owen? Option A, tracking. Option B, least restrictive environment. Option C, retention. Option D, standardization. The correct answer is option B. Least restrictive environment. This describes least restrictive environment because students should be educated in settings that provide access while avoiding unnecessary separation. Tracking is not the best choice because it groups students by perceived ability. Retention is different because it keeps a student in the same grade. Standardization does not fit because it keeps testing procedures uniform. Question 64. Inside a teacher training scenario, Owen studies why a learner gets extended time while the learning target stays the same. Which concept fits? Option A, modification. Option B, acceleration. Option C, accommodation. Option D, punishment. The correct answer is option C. Accommodation. This describes accommodation because access is adjusted without changing the essential learning expectation. Modification is not the best choice because it changes the learning expectation or task level. Acceleration is different because it moves a learner ahead faster. Punishment does not fit because it reduces unwanted behavior through consequences. Question 65. Looking at the clue that a learner completes a simplified assignment with different learning expectations, which idea should Owen remember? Option A, modification. Option B, scaffolding. Option C, universal screening. Option D, accommodation. The correct answer is option A. Modification. This describes modification because the task or standard is changed to fit the learner's instructional level. Scaffolding is not the best choice because it gives temporary support toward the same goal. Universal screening is different because it checks all learners for risk. Accommodation does not fit because it changes access while keeping the same standard. Question 66. Owen sees that a strong thinker struggles with accurate word decoding and benefits from structured phonics during a learning lab. Which concept best explains it? Option A, dyslexia support. Option B, percentile rank. Option C, behavior contract. Option D, dyscalculia support. The correct answer is option A. Dyslexia support. This describes dyslexia support because dyslexia commonly affects word reading and decoding, so explicit structured literacy support can help. Percentile rank is not the best choice because it reports relative test standing. Behavior contract is different because it targets behavior goals. Dyscalculia support does not fit because it focuses on math-related difficulties. Question 67. When Owen notices that a learner focuses better with short tasks, movement breaks, and clear routines in an after-school class, which idea is being tested? Option A, classical conditioning. Option B, criterion testing. Option C, ADHD classroom support. Option D, gifted compacting. The correct answer is option C. ADHD classroom support. This describes ADHD classroom support because structured routines and attention supports can reduce distractions and support self-management. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it links stimuli with responses. Criterion testing is different because it compares performance to standards. Gifted compacting does not fit because it removes already mastered work for advanced learners. Question 68. During a student coaching session, Owen studies a case where an advanced learner skips mastered work and uses time for deeper enrichment. Which term fits best? Option A, curriculum compacting. Option B, retention. Option C, extinction. Option D, remediation. The correct answer is option A. Curriculum compacting. This describes curriculum compacting because already mastered content is reduced so the learner can pursue more challenging work. Retention is not the best choice because it repeats a grade or course. Extinction is different because it removes reinforcement to reduce a behavior. Remediation does not fit because it retakes skills that are not yet mastered. Question 69. In a mini-lecture, Owen asks why examples, discussion norms, and materials connect learning to students' cultural backgrounds. Which answer names the idea? Option A, ability tracking. Option B, colorblind teaching. Option C, culturally responsive teaching. Option D, standardized testing. The correct answer is option C. Culturally responsive teaching. This describes culturally responsive teaching because instruction uses students' cultural knowledge and experiences as assets for learning. Ability tracking is not the best choice because it separates students by perceived ability. Colorblind teaching is different because it ignores cultural differences rather than using them constructively. Standardized testing does not fit because it keeps procedures uniform. Question 70. After reading that an assessment unfairly disadvantages a group because examples depend on unfamiliar cultural knowledge, How should Owen label the concept? Option A, reliability. Option B, validity evidence. Option C, test bias. Option D, standard deviation. The correct answer is option C, test bias. This describes test bias because bias occurs when irrelevant factors give some groups an unfair advantage or disadvantage. Reliability is not the best choice because it concerns score consistency. Validity evidence is different because it supports appropriate score interpretation. Standard deviation does not fit because it describes score spread. Question 71. For a short exam review, Owen connects students transition quickly because procedures for materials and movement are practiced daily with which principle? Option A, random reinforcement. Option B, classroom routines. Option C, summative testing. Option D, accommodation. The correct answer is option B, classroom routines. This describes classroom routines because clear repeated procedures reduce confusion and support orderly learning time. Random reinforcement is not the best choice because it gives rewards unpredictably. Summative testing is different because it evaluates final achievement. Accommodation does not fit because it adjusts access for a learner. Question 72. Could a case where students earn points for target behaviors and trade them for privileges be an example of which concept for Owen? Option A, logical consequence. Option B, classical conditioning. Option C, token economy. Option D, mastery learning. The correct answer is option C, token economy. This describes token economy because tokens serve as conditioned reinforcers that can be exchanged for backup rewards. Logical consequence is not the best choice because it is connected naturally to misbehavior. Classical conditioning is different because it links two stimuli rather than using exchangeable rewards. Mastery learning does not fit because it requires meeting standards before moving forward. Question 73. Why would Owen link a student who misuses lab materials must repair the setup and review safety steps to one major educational psychology idea? Option A, negative reinforcement. Option B, unrelated punishment. Option C, extinction. Option D, logical consequence. The correct answer is option D, logical consequence. This describes logical consequence because the consequence is related to the behavior and helps restore responsible action. Negative reinforcement is not the best choice because it increases behavior by removing an unpleasant condition. Unrelated punishment is different because it does not connect meaningfully to the behavior. Extinction does not fit because it withholds reinforcement to reduce behavior. Question 74. A practice item tells Owen that a teacher spots small off-task behavior early while continuing the lesson smoothly. Which concept is most likely? Option A, wait time. Option B, scaffolding. Option C, withedness. Option D, self-efficacy. The correct answer is option C, withedness. This describes withedness because withedness means awareness of classroom events and quick response before problems grow. Wait time is not the best choice because it is a pause after asking a question. Scaffolding is different because it gives temporary learning support. Self-efficacy does not fit because it is belief in capability. Question 75. Before answering, Owen identifies that a teacher pauses several seconds after asking a question before calling on anyone. Which term should be chosen? Option A, distributed practice. Option B, withedness. Option C, wait time. Option D, response cost. The correct answer is option C, wait time. This describes wait time because wait time gives students more processing time and often improves response quality. Distributed practice is not the best choice because it spreads study sessions over time. Withedness is different because it is awareness of classroom behavior. Response cost does not fit because it removes a privilege after behavior. Question 76. Which choice helps Owen explain why a prompt asks students to explain several possible reasons instead of choosing one fact in a tutoring table? Option A, closed question. Option B, open-ended questioning. Option C, recall cue. Option D, fixed ratio schedule. The correct answer is option B, open-ended questioning. This describes open-ended questioning because open-ended questions invite elaboration, reasoning, and multiple defensible responses. Closed question is not the best choice because it usually has one brief answer. Recall cue is different because it simply prompts memory of stored information. Fixed ratio schedule does not fit because it reinforces after a set number of responses. Question 77. How can Owen classify a classroom moment where a teacher tells a learner exactly what worked and what to revise next? Option A, general praise. Option B, effective feedback. Option C, summative grade only. Option D, random correction. The correct answer is option B, effective feedback. This describes effective feedback because specific, timely feedback helps learners close the gap between current and desired performance. General praise is not the best choice because it may feel positive but gives little guidance. Summative grade only is different because it reports performance without next steps. Random correction does not fit because it lacks targeted connection to the learning goal. Question 78. Suppose Owen observes that a student sets a goal, monitors progress, changes strategies, and reflects after studying. Which concept is shown? Option A, self-regulated learning. Option B, social facilitation. Option C, operant conditioning. Option D, object permanence. The correct answer is option A, self-regulated learning. This describes self-regulated learning because learners actively plan, monitor, control, and evaluate their learning. Social facilitation is not the best choice because it concerns performance changes in the presence of others. Operant conditioning is different because it emphasizes consequences shaping behavior. Object permanence does not fit because it concerns infant understanding of hidden objects. Question 79. While reviewing, Owen sees students take turns summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting during reading. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, reciprocal teaching. Option B, token economy. Option C, direct instruction. Option D, random assignment. The correct answer is option A, reciprocal teaching. This describes reciprocal teaching because the strategy uses structured dialogue to improve comprehension. Token economy is not the best choice because it uses symbolic rewards. Direct instruction is different because it is mainly teacher-led explanation and practice. Random assignment does not fit because it assigns participants to groups by chance. Question 80. One interesting clue says one student guides another through practice while both receive learning benefits. Which educational psychology term fits for Owen? Option A, portfolio assessment. Option B, tracking. Option C, peer tutoring. Option D, lecture. The correct answer is option C, peer tutoring. This describes peer tutoring because students support each other's learning through structured helper-learner roles. Portfolio assessment is not the best choice because it collects work samples over time. Tracking is different because it separates students into ability groups. Lecture does not fit because it is teacher presentation to a group. Question 81. From this example, where a child identifies that cat and cup begin with the same spoken sound, which answer should Owen select? Option A, phonemic awareness. Option B, syntax. Option C, phonics. Option D, morphology. The correct answer is option A, phonemic awareness. This describes phonemic awareness because the learner is attending to individual sounds in spoken language. Syntax is not the best choice because it concerns sentence structure. Phonics is different because it links sounds to printed letters. Morphology does not fit because it studies meaningful word parts. Question 82. Students in an after-school class discuss why a learner improves a skill after watching a confident model demonstrate each step. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, Skinner shaping. Option B, Maslow needs. Option C, Piaget conservation. Option D, Bandura modeling. The correct answer is option D, Bandura modeling. This describes Bandura modeling because Bandura emphasized learning by observing models and the outcomes of their actions. Skinner shaping is not the best choice because it reinforces gradual behavior changes through consequences. Maslow needs is different because it explains motivation through layered needs. Piaget conservation does not fit because it concerns logical understanding of quantity. Question 83. Teachers in a student coaching session wonder why family, school, peers, community, and culture all shape a child's development. Which principle applies? Option A, Erikson's psychosocial stages. Option B, information processing. Option C, Brinfenbrenner ecological systems. Option D, Kohlberg moral stages. The correct answer is option C, Brinfenbrenner ecological systems. This describes Brinfenbrenner ecological systems because development is influenced by nested environmental systems around a child. Erikson's psychosocial stages is not the best choice because it focuses on lifespan social-emotional conflicts. Information processing is different because it compares thinking to mental processing systems. Kohlberg moral stages does not fit because it focuses on moral reasoning. Question 84. Can Owen treat a young child uses a caregiver as a safe base and seeks comfort after stress as evidence of which concept? Option A, authoritarian parenting. Option B, industry versus inferiority. Option C, secure attachment. Option D, avoidant attachment. The correct answer is option C, secure attachment. This describes secure attachment because secure attachment involves trust in caregiver availability and comfort. Authoritarian parenting is not the best choice because it describes strict parenting style. Industry versus inferiority is different because it is a school-age psychosocial conflict. Avoidant attachment does not fit because it shows reduced seeking of comfort. Question 85. If Owen must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when two infants differ early in activity level, mood, and adaptability? Option A, temperament. Option B, self-concept. Option C, moral reasoning. Option D, criterion validity. The correct answer is option A, temperament. This describes temperament because temperament refers to biologically influenced patterns of emotional and behavioral response. Self-concept is not the best choice because it is a person's view of self. Moral reasoning is different because it concerns judgments about right and wrong. Criterion validity does not fit because it links test scores to an outcome. Question 86. Rather than guessing, Owen should connect a child says code because a regular grammar rule is applied too broadly with which concept? Option A, babbling. Option B, code switching. Option C, language overgeneralization. Option D, telegraphic speech. The correct answer is option C, language overgeneralization. This describes language overgeneralization because the child applies a learned language rule to an irregular case. Babbling is not the best choice because it is early sound play. Code switching is different because it shifts language varieties based on context. Telegraphic speech does not fit because it uses short two-word phrases. Question 87. Curiosity rises when Owen reads that students explain whether a character should break a rule to help someone in need. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, aptitude test. Option B, moral dilemma assessment. Option C, behavior checklist. Option D, achievement test. The correct answer is option B, moral dilemma assessment. This describes moral dilemma assessment because moral dilemmas reveal the reasoning behind judgments, not just the choice itself. Aptitude test is not the best choice because it predicts future learning potential. Behavior checklist is different because it records observed behaviors. Achievement test does not fit because it measures learned academic content. Question 88. A CLEP-style scenario says a study finds that homework time and test scores rise together without proving cause. Which answer best captures it for Owen? Option A, case study. Option B, ethnography. Option C, experimental research. Option D, correlational research. The correct answer is option D, correlational research. This describes correlational research because correlation shows a relationship between variables but does not establish causation. Case study is not the best choice because it examines one person or small group deeply. Ethnography is different because it studies culture through immersion. Experimental research does not fit because it manipulates variables to test cause and effect. Question 89. Inside a morning lesson, Owen studies why participants are placed into tutoring or no tutoring groups by chance. Which concept fits? Option A, random assignment. Option B, convenience sampling. Option C, random sampling. Option D, matching. The correct answer is option A, random assignment. This describes random assignment because chance placement helps make groups similar before the treatment begins. Convenience sampling is not the best choice because it uses whoever is easily available. Random sampling is different because it selects participants from a population. Matching does not fit because it pairs participants on key traits. Question 90. Looking at the clue that a researcher changes the type of feedback students receive, which idea should Owen remember? Option A, confounding variable. Option B, control variable. Option C, independent variable. Option D, dependent variable. The correct answer is option C, independent variable. This describes independent variable because the independent variable is the factor the researcher manipulates. Confounding variable is not the best choice because it is an unwanted factor that may affect results. Control variable is different because it is held constant. Dependent variable does not fit because it is the measured outcome. Question 91. Owen sees that a researcher measures quiz scores after using two different teaching methods during a tutoring table. Which concept best explains it? Option A, extraneous variable. Option B, independent variable. Option C, dependent variable. Option D, random assignment. The correct answer is option C, dependent variable. This describes dependent variable because the dependent variable is the outcome measured to see whether the treatment had an effect. Extraneous variable is not the best choice because it is an outside influence. Independent variable is different because it is the factor manipulated. Random assignment does not fit because it is a grouping procedure. Question 92. When Owen notices that one group receives regular instruction while another receives a new memory strategy in a classroom discussion, which idea is being tested? Option A, experimental group. Option B, population. Option C, control group. Option D, sample. The correct answer is option C, control group. This describes control group because the control group provides a comparison for judging the effect of the treatment. Experimental group is not the best choice because it receives the treatment being tested. Population is different because it is the larger group of interest. Sample does not fit because it is the set of participants studied. Question 93. During a quick quiz review, Owen studies a case where a teacher adds all quiz scores and divides by the number of students. Which term fits best? Option A, median. Option B, range. Option C, mean. Option D, mode. The correct answer is option C, mean. This describes mean because the mean is the arithmetic average of a set of scores. Median is not the best choice because it is the middle score. Range is different because it is the difference between highest and lowest scores. Mode does not fit because it is the most frequent score. Question 94. In a teacher training scenario, Owen asks why a teacher wants to know how spread out the class scores are around the average. Which answer names the idea? Option A, raw score. Option B, percentile rank. Option C, standard deviation. Option D, mean. The correct answer is option C, standard deviation. This describes standard deviation because standard deviation describes typical distance of scores from the mean. Raw score is not the best choice because it is the number of points earned. Percentile rank is different because it shows relative standing. Mean does not fit because it gives the average but not spread. Question 95. After reading that a student's report says the score is higher than the scores of 80% of the norm group, how should Owen label the concept? Option A, grade equivalent. Option B, percentile rank. Option C, percentage correct. Option D, standard deviation. The correct answer is option B, percentile rank. This describes percentile rank because percentile rank tells the percentage of comparison scores at or below a student's score. Grade equivalent is not the best choice because it estimates grade level performance, often imperfectly. Percentage correct is different because it reports items answered correctly. Standard deviation does not fit because it describes score spread. Question 96. For a short exam review, Owen connects students improve partly because they know they are being studied with which principle? Option A, Hawthorne effect. Option B, observer bias. Option C, placebo effect. Option D, testing effect. The correct answer is option A, Hawthorne effect. This describes Hawthorne effect because participants may change behavior simply because they are receiving attention in a study. Observer bias is not the best choice because it occurs when researcher expectations shape recording. Placebo effect is different because it involves improvement from belief in a treatment. Testing effect does not fit because it improves learning through retrieval practice. Question 97. Could a case where students improve over a semester because they naturally grew older, not because of the program, be an example of which concept for Owen? Option A, regression to the mean. Option B, selection bias. Option C, maturation threat. Option D, instrumentation threat. The correct answer is option C, maturation threat. This describes maturation threat because changes due to natural development can threaten conclusions about a treatment's effect. Regression to the mean is not the best choice because it occurs when extreme scores move closer to average later. Selection bias is different because it occurs when groups differ before a treatment. Instrumentation threat does not fit because it occurs when measurement changes over time. Question 98. Why would Owen link a researcher records detailed notes about classroom interactions instead of only counting scores to one major educational psychology idea? Option A, standardized testing. Option B, qualitative observation. Option C, random assignment. Option D, meta-analysis. The correct answer is option B, qualitative observation. This describes qualitative observation because qualitative methods focus on rich descriptions and meanings in context. Standardized testing is not the best choice because it uses uniform measurement procedures. Random assignment is different because it places participants into groups by chance. Meta-analysis does not fit because it statistically combines many studies. Question 99. A practice item tells Owen that a teacher studies the effect of a new discussion routine in the teacher's own classroom. Which concept is most likely? Option A, action research. Option B, survey research. Option C, longitudinal research. Option D, laboratory experiment. The correct answer is option A, action research. This describes action research because practitioners investigate their own settings to improve local practice. Survey research is not the best choice because it gathers responses from questionnaires. Longitudinal research is different because it follows participants over time. Laboratory experiment does not fit because it tests variables in a controlled setting. Question 100. Before answering, Owen identifies that families are told the study purpose, risks, and rights before agreeing to participate. Which term should be chosen? Option A, debriefing. Option B, informed consent. Option C, random assignment. Option D, confidentiality. The correct answer is option B. Informed consent. This describes informed consent because participants or guardians must understand key information and voluntarily agree. Debriefing is not the best choice because it explains details after participation. Random assignment is different because it assigns participants to groups by chance. Confidentiality does not fit because it protects private data.